Good afternoon, and welcome to DarkHour Paranormal. I am your host, Michael Roser. Today, we have quite a treat for you. This is an earlier broadcast than what we normally do, but that's because, well, DarkHour Paranormal, we talk to people all over the world. And right now, it's 8:30 in the United Kingdom, where my next guest hails from. Alien Addict, folks. I think a lot of you know and love this guy, as I do. And some of the work that he has done is quite cutting edge. And I've really enjoyed his interviews and what he's done on his channel. And I wanted to take a moment to introduce him to my viewers and to put you guys onto somebody who knows what they're doing and also has some of the most controversial guests on his show. Again, we have Alien Addict today. Folks, thank you very much for joining. I do appreciate it. And we're going to have a great time this afternoon. But first, let me give you a quick bio from Oli of Alien Addict, and it'll kind of outline what his channel is about. And please like and subscribe to what he's done. You'll very much enjoy his work if you enjoy what I do here at DarkHour Paranormal. Alien Addict's YouTube channel covers everything from Extra Terrestrials, UFOs, space anomalies, to the downright weird and unexplained. Through analysis and critical thinking, Alien Addict sheds his own unique perspective on the evidence put forth in the field. He has a great disdain for hoaxers and continues to flood light on those attempting to deceive. With some of the most intriguing and complex interviews from heavy hitters to everyday experiencers, Alien Addict's well-rounded approach to ufology and the paranormal will educate and entertain, all the while maintaining a ground with a fantastic sense of humor. With that being said, folks, I'd like to welcome in Oli from Alien Addict. How you doing today, my friend? Good evening to you.
Good evening, mate. I've never been called cutting edge before. Cutting edge. That's fantastic.
Just so you know where you stand these days, all right?
And that bio that you wrote for me was amazing. So thank you.
You gave me a good skeleton to work with, man. It's my pleasure, bro. It really is.
No, thanks for having me on the show, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yes,
it's funny because your shows come out before mine.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, no, this is funny. We did do an interview. Myself and Oli did one, I think, a couple weeks ago for Alien Addict, and that's actually going to be what he's working on next, and that will be the next video that he premieres. But it'll be our interview, and you guys get the unique chance to see it from my perspective here today with Oli. God, I keep wanting to say tonight, man, force a habit. But for you, it is night, so you know that's okay. We'll go with either way. But yes, again, thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
No, yeah.
So let's get started here. For those who don't know what you do and don't know what you're about, where did it start for you? How did you get into the field of the ufology and interest in paranormal and oddities and so forth? At what point in life did you decide that there's something else going on?
Well, let's get one thing straight first. You know, I don't know what I do. I don't know what I'm about. I just am. I just do it. But no. It stems back from, well, what got me into the subject is from being a child. But I just saw these YouTube channels coming out with stuff on Mars, you know, UFOs here, there, and everywhere. And I thought, maybe I could do that. And I got drunk one night and I just decided to make a video. And it was just literally me in front of the computer screen, not knowing what I was doing, just literally hitting screen record and just talking about something on Google Earth, which I don't do anymore. But yeah, it started like that. Slowly, it was like Mars images, moon images, and probably some pareidolia in there in the mix. But probably some of the best stuff you've ever seen, in my opinion, because it's my pareidolia. So my pareidolia is the best, obviously. It's not pareidolia. If I saw a face on Mars, it's a face on Mars because I found it. But
and how long ago was this for you that you were doing this?
So it was when my first boy was born. So that would have been 2015 that I kind of started doing, well, the channel. My wife was pregnant with our first boy. Yeah, I was saying before, I'm not a weirdo that collects children's toys. These are actually my children's toys. They just take up my entire house now. The children of, never mind aliens taking over, the kids have taken over. You know, I don't have any space anymore. Normally this is blurred out in the background, but
I mean, you say all this, but I did see you putting together a puzzle of Peppa Pig when we first joined in the studio earlier. I mean, I don't want to out you, but hey, listen, Peppa Pig's great. I like Peppa Pig too.
I've been working on that puzzle all week. I need to finish it.
What are you working on?
The puzzle.
Oh,
No,
for God's sake.
So for a long time, I was looking for answers and thinking, you know, these people are showing me stuff on YouTube that looks amazing. Let me start researching that. And then when you started to actually look into it, you realize that there's a lot of people misleading other people in the subject. So, I mean, I'm not an arsehole. I used to be an arsehole. Still am a little bit. But I used to debunk a lot. And that's kind of took a back seat now, because now my interest now is in the people that have actual stories, a bit like yourself, the people who have experienced stuff themselves.
Oh,
big claims.
What's that?
People that have big claims.
Big claims, yes. And I mean, that's one of the things that attracted me to at least interview folks, you know, is their conviction. You know, I know we're starting to cover this a little bit, but, you know, can you tell us a bit more about why you started the channel and, you know, your decision to make it an interviewing platform? Was that a personal search for answers, or was it a dissemination of these ideas that people have? What was it for you?
So the reason why I started the channel in the first place is because I'd seen things in the sky when I was... The ginger cat just walked past. It's not mine. The reason why I started it was my dad told me a story when I was... I think we actually discussed this in our interview. When I was about 8 years old, going from 12 to 13 to 14, we used to walk the dog, and you know, sometimes how your old man, he'll repeat himself. Well, he just constantly repeated himself with this story. And I thought, you know what, this story it's probably real. And he reported a UFO at sea. He was in the Merchant Navy in the 1980s. And him and his friends reported something shoot over the ship at a speed that he couldn't comprehend. Now, my dad doesn't really... Whenever he watches my channel, he kind of goes, "Oh, come on, this guy's talking nonsense." You know, he's that man that goes, "Who's this wanker that you're interviewing?" Pardon my French, but that's the type of language they'll use when you know, we say wanker a lot in the UK. I don't know what you call it actually. A wanker, is it a tosser?
I don't think if there is a synonym in English. I'm not really sure. Jerk off. Jerk off.
Jerk off. That's the one. Yeah. So when I'm interviewing people, my dad goes, "Oh God, this guy's talking a load of shit." And I go, "Dad, no, he's not. Come on, this is a really good story." But yet, I said, "And you obviously must believe in it, because you kept telling me this story every time we'd walk the dog about the UFO that you reported in the Merchant Navy." And he goes, "Yeah, but you know, it was just a light that shot straight over the ship." I said, but you told me at the time that a plane couldn't go that fast." He goes, "It was just a light." So he's like, I'm like, "It's just a light that you and your friends reported because you had to report it." So that spiked my interest from being a child, really, and getting into the subject. That and watching other people's UFO videos. But I've been into this since I was a small boy, basically. And the interviews thing came across by chance. A guy that is an investor in TTSA, to the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. He started to comment on a lot of my videos. I know it's the same guy commenting over and over again. And he put me onto the Tic Tac UFO before it was the Tic Tac UFO. So he told me something's going to release and it's going to be a Tic Tac UFO. And I'm like, what's this guy talking about? And sure enough, it came out. So he was talking about this for ages. and I could have had him on the show, which I kind of kicked myself a little bit. He's been on the show now quite a few times. His name's Osvaldo Franco. Great guy. But he told me all about the Tic Tac UFO before it actually was a thing. And I must have interviewed him about 4 or 5 times. Then I thought, you know what? It was my mum actually said, you need to get, this guy's great, but you need to start interviewing other people because you're quite good at it. Just, get people on telling the stories. So I just started spreading the word out. If people want to come on the channel, send me an email. And then gradually they started to build up. At one point, I was telling you in the last interview, I had 4 interviews to edit. And this is a much better way of doing it. StreamYard. Maybe I'll start doing this because it's so much work. Because I literally, well, you've seen an interview. I try to narrate them in imagery and with video, and I do enjoy doing that. So I don't know. I will still do stuff like this, but this might take some of the workload off. Not that being live is definitely work because you've got to control it more. But I like it. It's good quality as well. No,
it's fun. I mean, doing the live thing, of course, you have your own dynamics of, what could go wrong during a live stream. But in the end, I think it lends an antiquity in certain respects. And there's a beauty in being able to do something live with, on-air mistakes and so forth. If everything was perfect, it would just get dull. You know what I mean? But, the video editing and stuff that you do is really cool. It does reinforce the images and other things that you throw in there, reinforces what's being talked about, or, has a little bit of a comedic element to it. That's cool. I think it's neat, but like you're saying, it takes a lot of work to do that sort of thing. And it's very time consuming to edit video. But your product always comes out very good. So, I mean, whatever you end up putting into it, we do see it in the final product if anybody's watching Alien Addict.
It also educates me as well, because sometimes the guy or girl, there's more guys that come on the channel. I think I've got 98% of my subscribers are male. So I need some females. But there's been a couple of females come on the show. And I want to get more. I want to get it a bit more mixed,
Sure. I mean, that's something to address with ufology directly.
Yeah, my mom said you need more ladies on the show. So she was quite happy when Dolly came on the show. But what was I actually saying? I've lost my train of thought.
Honestly, I've been going right along Shiva with you here, so I'm not I'm not sure where we were.
I want to get a bit of a mixture to it. But what I actually realized is when I was editing the videos is I was learning things about cases, because the person I'm interviewing might drop a name and I'll be like, who the fuck is he talking about? You know what I mean? But try to be like, oh yeah, interesting. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll need to look it up. And then somebody will just drop a name and it might be just that slight thing that I think I need to kind of make a reference to this. But if somebody says something in a recording and you can't quite make out the words he's saying, trying to research a name in YouTube, a name in Google that you're not sure the actual words that this person has said is insanely hard. And you end up with all sorts of things. No, it's definitely not that person, because that guy makes teddy bears UFOs. So that actually happens, by the way. That's a true story.
I could believe that 100%. I mean, if you're, well, I mean, I want to ask you, at this point, do a lot of your guests come to you, or are you out there doing the research, reaching out to them, seeing what comes back? How do you set your shows up?
So now they come to me. Beforehand, I used to kind of like, please come on, Alien Addict. Can you fancy coming on? It'd be a great opportunity for you. I have 12 viewers normally, No, it's a mixed bag, I mean, I wanted to get you on. I think I asked you to come on the show.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people, they asked to come on the show. They send a story into me, which I think John, for example, sent the story and he didn't even want to come on the show. He just wanted to tell his story. And I thought, that's an amazing story. When can you come on? I don't want to come on. I got him on. So yeah, I managed to get him on, but some people just want to tell a story. I think there's 2 people now that have just wanted to tell me a story and not come on the show, but I've managed to get them on the show.
But isn't that incredible that they come to you first? Knowing that you do what you do and you do the interviews and they're public, but yet they just want to talk to you. They feel safe and confident in and trust in you to listen to what their story is and take it for what it is.
I think because, like yourself, Michael, I know sales, you know what I mean? So I can tell when another YouTube is really selling themselves at you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where I can tell when another YouTuber does it for the love of it, because I've got a good job. I do a good job in the day. You know, I don't need to do YouTube. and you know what type of money YouTube makes. It makes bugger all. But unless you're massive, and you've got to get thousands of views before you get any. So the work that I put into YouTube, the editing hours, the equipment that I've bought, probably yourself as well, you know, it is because the subscribers understand that it's like a love. You love doing it. You love doing what you're doing because you're interested in the subject. And I think for a viewer that has had an experience, that kind of means a lot to them, that you're taking it serious because you actually believe in the subject, because you think something is going to happen where, you know, all hell's going to break loose at some point. Whether we're going to get disclosure or not, I don't know. But do you know what I mean? If somebody feels, you know, this guy's in it for the greater good, they're going to trust you with their story. And I think that's the way to go.
Honestly, I think that's really the only way to go. Anybody else who is doing this kind of work for any other reason than it being a labor of love and interest and passion is doing it for the wrong reason. And maybe that's not the same for every subject, but at least in this field that we work in, absolutely 100%. You have to do it for the inquisitiveness and the curiosity and the exploration and the different ends that you'll meet and conclusions you'll eventually change, because it's forever changing. Concepts arise, new ideas emerge, and you just kind of put everything together. And, I don't know about yourself, but I've always tried to, for myself, create this sort of core understanding, and I'm not calling it belief. It's an understanding of what's happening around me and what's happening with other people, what reality really is. So, I mean, that's really cool that people come to us and feel comfortable enough to, share their experiences. And maybe it's exact for the reason that you're saying. That being said, what is the most, and I'm kind of jumping around a little bit with you here because we've had lots of conversations and I want to cover as much as I can. What was the one interview, and I actually think I know the answer to this, but what was the one interview that left the most of an impact on you personally, spiritually, emotionally, or otherwise?
So you probably think I'm going to say John, but it's not John. It's actually the guy that came on recently called David, that came on because of John. Did you think I was going to say that?
Well, I only know that because we talked about it, but that since you said that, it was such an exciting thing for me to think about. I've been thinking about it ever since. And of course, I was there for that premiere and I was very interested in what he was saying. And yeah, that's all. I only had prior knowledge.
I've got so many interviews that I would hold like really high. And I think I'm really proud that I interviewed that person, that I got that story. And I think John's interview was amazing. I think it's a great story. The guy had, I think, and I'm quite proud that the fact that other people like yourself, Rich from Goof on Radio, are speaking to John. And John's he's going to build his own. He's going to actually gain his own channel, build his own channel up. He's got his own channel now. So, and I'll be getting him back on because I'm kind of working with a bit of a vlog. I think I told you about that with John. For anybody who doesn't know who John is, wreaking havoc. I don't know the numbers, but he's wreaking havoc. Some numbers.
214, I think. 214,
yeah.
Maybe.
An experiencer that's had some weird stuff and possibly seen 2 alien greys. Whether they're alien or not, I don't know. That's another story. But the guy that I kind of left the biggest impact was a guy called David, who I know his full name, but he said, I have to blur him out. Nobody can know who he is. So he's blurred out. I interviewed him twice. The first interview that I did with him, I am going to actually play some clips if David lets me do that.
Mm-hmm.
He did say some stuff that he shouldn't have said in that interview. But the interview doesn't work. I think I might have told you this story when me and you was offline, when we were just chilling out afterwards, but your viewers haven't heard it. So
yeah, please.
When I'm talking to him, and this is a guy that's accidentally performed an exorcism with a friend of his. I don't kind of understand the American culture of religion, and it was something when he was getting ordained, something to do with that. He does say in the original, he explains the story in the interview that I do have. He does explain this story, but he explained it so much better in the first interview. And I recorded the interview because I don't go live. But literally, this is what happens. So imagine me and you are speaking now. Well, we are speaking now. Strange. And he starts to speak about this exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he speaks about it, it's like the broadband messes up. Now, bear in mind, me and this guy have had a conversation for about 60 minutes, so an hour beforehand. Just chill, like me and you have just spoke for half an hour before this, and nothing has gone wrong. We've been speaking fine. As soon as he starts to tell me about what has gone on with this exorcism and go into depth with it, it starts to go slow motion. Like it's breaking up, it's going in slow motion, his voice is cutting out. And then I go, David, can I just stop you there? It's not working. I can't. We may have to stop this and start. I'll recall you. And he goes, literally from being all broken up, he just breaks out of it and goes, yeah, I don't think it's going to let us do this tonight. I went, what? Say that. Yeah, I get this a lot. And he's like just talking normal. With no interference, nothing, smooth clarity, 720p or whatever a Skype call is. It's really good quality. Skype is not that great color, you know what I mean. But he goes, yeah, there's no point in that because it's probably not going to let us do this because I'm trying to tell you something. I can't actually tell you the reason why. Mm-hmm. Until he comes back on the show and explains the reason why. I'll probably tell you. He will at some point tell me that he told me the reason why, but he's coming back on.
That's fine. Yeah.
On the show. But I can tell you this. He then moved on to another story of when he started to tell me about an incident that happened when he was in Europe somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but he's having something done with his eyes. This story is now on my channel. But he started to go into depth with when he met this, him and his friend met this girl and asked for directions. Mm-hmm. And something happened when they was looking at this girl where they were scared to death.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
The original time when he told me that story, it broke up again, went completely. And I said, David, mate, honestly, it's doing it again. And then he goes, yeah, I don't think this is going to happen tonight, Alien Addict. I'm like, what? I said, and I messaged Rich after. And David, if you're watching this, I do trust you, my friend. But at the time, I'd only met him once. I messaged Rich and said, is there any way that somebody can interfere purposely with a Skype call and make it break up and go in slow motion? And he's like, I don't think so. I'm like, Rich, Rich. He's like, yeah, it's probably coincidence. You
have to look at the logical explanation first. Yes.
I've got the full recording of this and I showed my wife it and she's like, that's giving me the willies. And she doesn't, even though she knows what I do, she doesn't really watch the channel. She's not into that stuff, but my wife's quite religious as well.
Interesting.
And she said that's a bit scary. Now, after this interview, bear in mind, this is the first time I interviewed this person. All the lights started to go funny in the house. Like turning on and off. And I was editing one night, and I was trying to put together an edit to kind of show on the channel that I tried to interview this guy, and it was breaking up every time he was trying. And it must have been about 6 or 7 times when he tries to tell me in-depth detail and it breaks up. And I was showing this on the channel, editing to show it on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife says, "Babe, pack it in." I'm like, "What?" She's, "Pack it in." I said, "What do you mean pack it in? Turn the lights on and off." I said, "I'm not turning the lights on and off." So I went to the bottom of the stairs, and she said, "Shut up. You're trying to scare me," because I'd shown her a bit
Mm-hmm.
of the interview that evening as well, which scared her a little bit. And I said, "I'm not." So I walked up to look at the light, and then it turned off. Then it turned back on, turned off, turned back on, turned off, turned back on, turned off, turned back on. And this is like you know them bulbs that you buy that have got the 40-year lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
So I get this bulb, looked at, nothing wrong with it, put it back in. It's doing the same thing. So I'm thinking it's the electrics. So I don't know if you have any of these sort of plans in America. I'm a busy guy. I don't get a chance to do a lot of DIY stuff. Only the painting and decorating that I've been doing tonight. But you know, we pay for a plan where we can get things done, like our plumbing. You pay a monthly subscription, and they'll come out, they'll change stuff. So I got somebody to come out and check the electrics, like an electrician.
Sure.
But you pay a monthly plan. That was a long-winded way of explaining that I wanted electricians to come out. But yeah, he came out and he says, "Yeah, the bulb's burnt out." But I pulled the bulb out, and it was fine, and it was all charred. This bulb has got a 40-year lifespan, and these weird little things have been happening, and it's other little weird stuff, like, I don't know, something would make a noise or something would drop. And I've never been into the paranormal at all. And this is why I wanted to get you on my show ever since So yes, David has had a massive impact in my life, because I'm an alien channel, a UFO channel, that is starting to think that there's something very linked between the paranormal world and the UFO world. But yeah, I've interviewed David since, and thankfully that did go out. It wasn't as in-depth of what we talked about in the first interview, but he tried to stay away from some of the stuff that just cut out. And I was gobsmacked. I really was. And that's the first time I think I thought, wow, that's just not coincidence. That is a guy trying to tell me a story. And it was like almost like somebody was covering his mouth and saying, "You're not telling that story."
And yeah, he was very aware, even on the broadcast, a couple of things that would happen where the technology would come in and out. He was very aware. Oh, yep. Okay, I know exactly. This is what's happening. We won't be able to do this now. We're just going to have to move on. It was so nonchalant about it. What this reminded me of was many years ago, there was 2 specific incidents I can recall with Ghost Adventures where I think they went back to the Goldfield Inn, if I'm not mistaken, but they took like a troop of people, like 30 or 40 people with them. And almost every person that was with them, again, this is what I remember, had some sort of paranormal experience that they couldn't explain. And yet there were people watching at home that were claiming, paranormal events happening while they were watching the broadcast. And this was explored a little bit further. And I remember in an interview, I think it must have been before this stunt, so to say, Zach was doing an interview and he was talking maybe about Puvalia or something like that. I can't remember exactly the subject matter or the place that he was talking about. Sure enough, something falls behind him and he's like, yeah, it's hard for me to even talk about it, but we've heard of that screen or, maybe the vibration in your voice coming through the radio you're lighting up something where you are locationally in a sense. So you, again, being open to this, you're, expanding your curiosity and your possibly your consciousness, pushing outside of yourself or so forth. And you're drawing those experiences in, because it comes back to, what you think about will eventually manifest in one way, shape, or form, which is why it's so important to try to, be aware of what you're thinking and so forth. But we see that, or we have seen that, where I actually stopped watching some of those ghost shows because I started feeling weird watching some of them. Like there was a presence in my room, or I could just feel the hairs and, energy wave up. And I'm like, I just want to watch the show, man. And I had to shut it off at times, Oh, one more example I'll give to you very quickly, and we'll move forward with what you're saying here. But when there was something very heavy and evil around me, this was the third incident. Well, I've had 3 big ones that I haven't really talked about much on any of the shows, and I'll wait for that story another time. But long story short, I was in the house where this thing resided, and I had just moved in. It was a matter of a month maybe, and I sat down to play Silent Hill 2, which I love the Silent Hill. I love the Silent Hill series. Well, at least 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll stop there. And so I start playing the game, and as I'm getting into it, obviously the subject matter is incredibly dark, but I started feeling this real uncomfortable wave of energy, just real buzzy. And I'm like, okay, just kind of get up, flush it off, get back down, sit down, start playing. And I'm thinking, I'm just playing a game, right? So I'm sitting there playing, and, something else happens. All of a sudden, I feel this wave of energy. It got to the point where I said, all right, fine, I'm fucking shutting the game off. I'll fucking shut it off. I'm not even going to play it anymore. Just go away. And sure enough, as soon as I shut the game off, walked around a bit, boom, I didn't feel it anymore. And that's happened a couple times to me, at least for video games. But really interesting that you started experiencing something as sort of a byproduct of talking to this person.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It could have just been coincidence. It
could have been.
Just had some sort of fault with the bulb, but it's just it's also from interview. I mean, for anybody who knows my channel, and it's weird for me to say this bit because I have already explained it, but I see the number 33 more than I probably should. So and I've done a video about me seeing the number 33 only because I wanted answers to why I'm seeing it, whether it be just numerology, and it's just a number and it just pops up everywhere. When you buy a car and you think, oh, no one's got a car like mine, and then you start seeing them all over, and you're like, bastards.
So if that's not a synchronistic event, and it's just purely coincidence, in your opinion, how would that happen? Again, this is obviously an opinion here. I don't know either, but what do you think? Why would that be? Is it something that you're drawing to because you saw the number and now it's in the back of your head, or is it external? What do you think?
Well, so I interviewed I was going to call him a flat earther, but I interviewed a guy who is a globe denier. He's not a flat earther because he corrected me. I interviewed a guy, and I've had to change the title of the YouTube video to interview with globe denier, or I can't remember what it's called. Globe denier tells his story or something like that. Lovely guy. Had a good chat with him. I've known him for a while. It's called 007. Very, very nice chap. Lives in Spain, and he plays music to crowds in pubs, and he loves his job. He just loves life. Great guy, but he doesn't believe that. He believes that they're lying to us about the how big Earth is. So I'm interviewing him, thinking that this guy's a flat earther. Not that I've got a problem with flat earthers, because I haven't. I think that if somebody wants to believe the Earth is flat, square, that we live in a matrix, whatever, if you want to believe that, that's your belief. And because it's same with religion. Whether you're Jewish, you're Muslim, you are Christian, as long as you're a nice person, you're good for me. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. But this chap, he said to me about the flat earth thing, because I called the video interview with flat earth. He says, I'm a bit pissed off that you call me a flat earther. I'm a globe denier. So being a nice guy. You know what? I've got more views if I'd put interview with Flat Earther, but I changed it straight away to globe denier, just for him.
Yeah, well,
but we had a conversation after the interview, and he's quite a spiritual chap. So I'm telling him, I said, do you know anything about the number 33? Because I keep seeing it.
Mhm.
And he said, well, do you know Jesus died at the age of 33, apparently?
Yep.
I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting. I'm not religious. My wife is. And I think it was the day after, or a couple of days after that interview, me and the missus went for a drive to meet our friends for dinner in the pub. And the radio's playing. My wife's driving because obviously I'm going to have a drink because I'm the man and I get to drink, and she just drives because she's a woman. I'm joking, ladies. That is a joke. don't subscribe to Alien. No.
God.
Sorry for that. I bet if my
funny.
watches this, she'll kill me. I'm scared.
Of course.
But no, my wife was kind enough to let me not drive. So we're in the car and we're on our way to the pub. I had a couple of drinks before at home because we were meeting some old friends that I hadn't seen for a while. And I said, you know, the guy that I interviewed the other day, the flat Earth guy that I was telling you about. She says, yeah. Well, I got a chatting to about me seeing the number 33 a lot. She says, oh yeah. I said, and he told me that Jesus died at the age of, and as soon as I said at the age of, the radio went number 33. And my wife went, oh my God. She said, that's insane. That's insane. I said, Ollie, I've got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. And I was like, I was gobsmacked. But then, where we were meeting them at this pub, it said junction 33, just as we pulled on. And that is literally a few seconds after that came on the radio. Now, is that coincidence? Or
what is coincidence? Exactly.
I don't know what coincidence is anymore. I've started to believe that there is no such thing.
You know, I'm in the same boat 100%. You know, why it actually happens, whatever organization is behind it, we can only speculate, at least at this point. But for the succession of events to happen in the order that they do, it makes your head turn. It has to, because Zen Master, it's absolutely synchronicity, the way the word is. But that's coming in strong, man. I mean, usually people are driving to work one day, they see, number, let's say 33 as you're using. Oh, 33, that's great. And go throughout their day and they're on, see 33 one more time and like, wow, that's really strange. But for that to happen in such close quarter, like, I can't believe that, man.
Well, the video that I put out before I interviewed that guy, I have a video which is just me, and it's called IC33. And this has happened for years.
Is it still happening?
Yeah, it's happened. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's happening more now after the interview that I had with David. I'm seeing it constantly again. It stopped for ages, and now I'm seeing it again constantly. But I was at my grandma's house, and my granddad had passed away. I think he'd been dead for about a year. And there's a grandfather clock, classic grandfather clock, on British grandfather clock on the wall. And it stopped. And I said to my grandma, I've got hiccups, too much beer. I said, did that? I've only had 3 cans. Very low alcohol.
That's a little bit. That's a little bit.
Did that clock stop when Granddad died? And she went, oh, no, because my granddad had dementia. She said he just stopped maintaining it years and years ago. So it stopped. So I thought, I'll go change the clock. And the clock had stopped on 6:33.
Oh, wow.
How weird is that? Well, it looked like 33 because it didn't. I think it was 33. I've got a picture of it it's pictures on my YouTube channel, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat down and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to have the conversation with my arsehole of a father, who I love dearly, by the way. If you're watching, Dad, I do. But he always shoots down the paranormal stuff or anything that I talk about. And I just said, Dad, you ever had an experience with seeing numbers? And he was like, no. And I said, well, the grandfather clock there, I said, it's on 6:33, and I've been seeing the number 33 for a long time now. And as I'm saying this to my father, and again, the evidence is on my YouTube channel because there's a picture of this, because I took a picture. My dad's got a polo neck top on, and it's got the number 33.
Oh, come on.
Written there. In fact,
Fuck, dude.
I've probably got the picture on my phone. If I type 33 into Google search engine, it'll bring up the date and everything.
Unreal.
Yeah, it was insane. In fact,
that's incredible, dude.
Clock. I'll type in clock because I took it the same because he won't come up with a clock.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to see that.
So there's the clock. So that's where the clock stopped. I don't know if you can see that. That's the old grandfather clock. 5:33, should I say?
Even still, 33 is there.
But how do I go to the? Oh, it's up into the date. More pictures. Oh, what date was that? 29th of April 2016.
Wow.
So okay, so you can see that there. Can you see the clock?
Then you pull it up a little bit closer. There we go.
Yeah.
Well,
that's my dad's sweater next to it.
33. Holy crap, dude. Now, have you researched what numerology or the spiritual meanings behind this? I know there's a lot of different interpretations. What's that?
No, I said sweater. It's his polo neck, not sweater. I've researched. I've researched the number 33. Can I ask Google what? Okay, Google, what's the number 33 mean?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh, whatever.
But I found
she did answer me the other day. She said it's an angel number.
Well, finicky, but it is. It is.
But you.
Why do I always see the numbers 444 everywhere I go? Is one of them.
She's talking about the number 444 now.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I need to get rid of those things. They listen to everything.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have one for that reason.
Trying to sell me everything.
Do they really? I'm not surprised.
Engine. I type in. I was looking for a vacuum cleaner the other day. I bought the vacuum cleaner. She just wants me to buy another one. I'm not buying another vacuum cleaner, Google. But if you put, I tried this though. If you put any number in, it will give you some sort of like, oh, this number means so and so, so and so.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't fall for that bullshit. You know what I mean? Is every number special? Maybe every number is special to somebody.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, again, this is purely opinion. I think. What's the matter?
See, I can't make this shit up. I really can't. Look at the top of my cam.
I'll be honest with you, I can't see it. Is that a 33 up there?
There's two of them.
Jesus. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh my God.
I mean, I know that's just what the thing is, whatever the cam mean. I don't know what is that measurement. So I don't know.
So that's so strong for you.
It's constant. It doesn't stop.
So, I mean, what is the universe trying to tell you? I wonder. What I was going to say is that, every number carries a certain vibration, and I won't get into how you could quantify or measure that at the moment, but suffice to say that if that is the case and you have, oh God, maybe it relates, vibration obviously relates to physical experience or experience in general, I think, in terms of dimension and stuff like that. It goes into music and so forth. There are numbers in music. There's math in music. There's vibration. There's harmony in music. I think if nothing else, the dimensions must be structured in a harmonic or discordant fashion, depending on what values are used. So to me, when you see something like that and it keeps coming to you, there's something vibrational that you're connecting with, or you need to connect with. I mean, to me, it's a message sending in. Now, I used to see a lot of that when I was in college, working very heavily with the spirituality, Reiki, channeling, and so forth. I would see all kinds of numbers, and I got into life path numbers and numerology in general. But that's absolutely fascinating that it's so strong and apparent in your life that it just keeps popping up.
Yeah, honestly, it's everywhere. My kid's first picture when he was in the womb, it was frame 33. It's upstairs. It's on the YouTube channel as well. That I show the evidence of that. That which I can't show, this picture here in the corner of ours. My little boy's godmother, which is that's just got my little boy's name and our family name. It's Scrabble pieces. There's 33 Scrabble pieces exactly there.
Well,
in there, in these boxes, there's 3,033 Hot Wheels.
You got to be kidding me, man.
No, I am kidding you there.
All right. For a second, I thought, how the hell did he count all those? But, I was going with the flow here. You never know. That's funny, dude. My God. Well, we'll have to keep up on that and check back with you to see how that continues to develop, because it doesn't sound like it's going anywhere soon. Shifting gears a little bit here. Are you familiar with CE5?
Well, you mean the Greer thing?
Yeah, the Greer thing.
I know it's not just the Greer thing, but yeah. The Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Yes. I mean, regardless of whether you've read the book or not, I'm sure you
I've read
the basic.
Dyslexic.
That's right.
You could ask me to read a book, and I'd ask me a year later if I finished it, and I'd be still probably on page 1.
No, I laugh, but I mean, you told me that. You told me that.
No, I can read fluently. I can read fluently. If you give me something to read, if I have to read something, I'll read it. And I get so many case files of UFOs that I think, oh, for fuck's sake, send me a bastard video. I would love to, but it doesn't go in properly. Both me and my mother are dyslexic, as they come. We're both really good at art, but we're both severely dyslexic. And it runs in the family. It's weird.
No, that's fine. I mean, again, without
I read fluent, but it doesn't go in properly.
I understand that to a degree too, because growing up with attention deficit disorder, again, that's what they used to call it, was incredibly difficult for me to retain anything that I didn't give a shit about. If you were trying to teach me something that I didn't care, it would stay there, and then it'd literally be just fucking gone in a matter of moments. And so I feel you with that. But
I mean, but if it's something that I care about, if it's something
different story,
something that'll really entertain me. Not saying that UFOs doesn't entertain me, but when you're looking at a case file of a UFO, it's loads of boring shit until you get to the nitty-gritty. That's the interesting stuff. But if you give me, like we were talking earlier, and you showed me the Ocarina of Time, I will play that and I'll read the shit out of that, because I'm loving that game, like a Final Fantasy game. I'll read it, because it's keeping me engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand that.
For anybody who's probably an Alien Addict fan that thinks Alien Addict knows his shit, he's an amazing researcher. He knows every case file. And he's on point. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, guys, but I'm interested in the subject. I love the subject of UFOs. I love the subject of ufology. And I will look at a case file. Don't get me wrong, I will. I'll just ask Google to read it.
Well, listen, I mean, we're going to talk to you 5 years from now, and you're going to be like, well, this is where I was then. This is where I am now. I know a whole lot more than I did then. And it's an ever constant learning experience and exploration. And that's the most beautiful thing about it. I mean, we can all be, adept in certain parts of the field, but there's always something more to learn. But with the CE5 stuff, okay, there have been a lot of people that says this works. Okay, it works. We meditate, we go into the practice, and we can call UFOs. We have experiences with extraterrestrials. And I'm not unfamiliar with people having an experience where they go into the silence, they go into meditation and contact extraterrestrials, and that's the claim. But that being said, if we're able to do that, and if CE5 works, okay, is there any real reason to continue scouring the skies, looking for these physical bits of evidence that are so elusive? Is there a reason to still do that once we get to a point where we're able to, maybe not even as a majority, but at least a minority can, contact through extraterrestrials through their meditation practices in CE5?
Well, definitely think it works because, and I didn't do. If you'd have asked me this 2 years ago, I'd have been like, it's a load of shit. But David, who I interviewed, if you remember when he was speaking about him and his friends doing this, now I've seen all his equipment, and he's paid thousands for that equipment. He was showing me the infrared stuff and the night vision stuff, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And this guy does it as a hobby. But he started getting into that because he was trying to find more about why he has this paranormal activities going on around him. So he I don't know if you remember, us talking about this, and there's the pictures. That he went out to see Travis Walton and who was the other guy? I can't remember the other guy's name. But anyway, he saw some people really high up in ufology and looking for answers to why he's seeing like figures and having things happen in his life that's not necessarily alien. So, and they said to him, he said, I've never seen a UFO. And he says, well, somebody said, oh, is it thingy Ray Hernandez? Yeah, that's the guy. Said to him, I think that's the guy. It may not be. Said to him, why don't you try? Have you ever tried looking for them? Have you ever just looked up? So he said, well, no, I haven't. And he told him how to do it. And sure enough, he can literally go out now and he does it with his friends. And I think maybe he may capture some for me at some point. But he's never done it before in terms of filming them, but he's seen them. And he told me an interesting story about him seeing them. So he kind of like, they wanted to see them and it happened. But him and his two friends, as he's seen this UFO, are practically fighting each other, like getting violent with each other. And these guys, have you seen this up here? Have you seen this up here? And he's trying to calm them down. By the time they've calmed down, there's nothing there. But they never argue or fight like that before. I don't know if he said they didn't argue, but he said they this was odd that they were fighting like that. And it was while this UFO activity was going on in the sky as well, which I find that interesting, very interesting. The fact that I've heard this a few times now as well, that UFOs tend to change the behavior of people when they're seeing them.
Yeah, that's something I've come across too, up to the point where one person may be seeing it, witnessing it, experiencing it, and the guy standing next to him says, I don't see a damn thing. And both realities are coinciding in the same space, and they're both legitimate, but one is experiencing something than the other is in the same exact space. Very strange, man.
There's a guy that I interviewed. I'm going to say this is all about me, but it's my interview, isn't it? So I was interviewing you for a second then. It's because I'm not used to being interviewed.
No, it's cool. It's going well, man. I'm having fun.
There were a guy called Zach. Is that Diecast? You may have seen him on his channel.
I know Zach. Yep.
Great guy. He's got an amazing Instagram page with Hot Wheels because I love Hot Wheels. I've got loads, 3,033 in that draw. But yeah, he told me a story about him and his friend when they were in the band, and he saw an airplane stood still in the sky.
Oh, wow.
And him and his friend were staring at this for what felt like to them a long time, 20 minutes or something like that. But then he said, by the time that they were waiting for this other friend of theirs, it felt like it had been hours. And he didn't. He doesn't remember even seeing his friend. But this is like 20 years ago. It's a long, long time ago. But then years later, and his friend's passed away now, which is, it's a shame that his friend's passed away, but also he can't even like ask him any more questions about this. But he saw his friend a few years before. I think it was a couple of years before he passed away, he said. And he got a talking about, he said, like, do you remember the plane that was kind of stood still in the sky that day? He said, we were waiting for so-and-so to get out of band or to start band. I can't remember what it was. He was in like a punk band, and it was practice or something like that. Go watch the video on Alien Addict.
Yes.
Now, he said that his friend said, no, I don't remember that. He says, yeah, there was a plane stood still in the sky. He says, I don't remember any plane, but I do remember that time we both saw that UFO in the sky, and then all of a sudden it shot off. So one of them saw a UFO shoot off within the blink of an eye, and the other one just saw a plane stood still. And
That's absolutely wild.
And that's Zach, and Zach's the one that felt like there was missing time.
That's wild, man. And you hear that missing time thing a lot. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that, was something UFO or extraterrestrial oriented, but it's an absolute curiosity, because missing time is no joke. You're missing time. You don't know what the hell happened. That's very disconcerting. And if it was on the tail end of seeing something that you couldn't identify flying in the sky, one draws conclusions. Now, if it happens repeatedly, as it does with some people, I mean, there's obviously a trail there or a pattern you can follow. But that's so wild that our perceptions can be so different. And yet, we're standing right next to each other. I don't know how that happens unless you want to talk about, being in different dimensional spaces or being able to alter somebody's perception point the way that, some of the Yaqui traditional men of knowledge were able to do. That's still, it's an individual thing. It's not happening from something that's up in the sky or so far away from you,
I definitely think, do you know what you're asking about why I got started with this? I've told you the story about my dad. Mm-hmm. So there is another story about my father, and he constantly tells me this story about somebody called Anne Pugachev at school. Okay. Somebody called Anne Pugachev, and she's playing like hopscotch thing or something where she went round. And my dad said to his friend, next time she goes round there, she's going to fall over and she's going to smash her face on the floor and break her nose. Sure enough, she fell over. She smashed her face on the floor. He didn't know if she broke her nose, but her nose was bleeding.
Enough so. Wow.
But he did trip her up. So
oh my God.
I did. No, he did. I'm joking.
For God's sake.
It's my humor.
No, it's cool, man.
But yeah, he predicted to his friend that she would fall over. Now, I don't know if that's just because they were kids and he could see that maybe she had a shoelace undone or that she was a bit unbalanced on her feet, because kids fall over all the time. But he can remember this to that day, and he said that he knew for a fact that she was going to fall over.
That's interesting, and it's not that I don't appreciate your sense of humor. It's the fact that when people tell me such things that seemingly outlandish, I mean, through my own experiences, man, they might be more real. And I'll look at it, I'll take it face value, but I didn't catch your joke, and I sit in the dunce chair for that. But
I said my dad tripped her over.
But that being said, there was an instance in my childhood where I was driving up to Vermont through Connecticut, going on a ski trip with the high school kids. And I brought my snowboard and everything. And there's this guy sitting next to me. His name was Tim. And Tim and I weren't very close, but we knew each other from class and were able to joke around enough. And of course, I had a bunch of my friends on the bus as well. Again, it was a school trip. So we're about halfway up there, and I just turned to him, and I had this feeling inside of me. I said, somebody's going to get hurt today. He goes, what? I said, I don't know what it is, dude. I feel like, listen, remember what I'm saying now. Somebody's going to get hurt today. And I don't know why I had said that or why I had felt that so strongly. So we get off the bus and we begin our day. Third fucking run down the hill, dude. I dropped. I went way too high, overturned, ended up landing on my shoulder and my neck, narrowly snapping my neck and I completely decimated my shoulder, clavicle, everything. The whole arm just slumped down and off. And I shit you not, when I got on the bus it was about 8 hours later after the hospital and everything. And I looked at him. I said, bro, remember what I said earlier? He goes, what? I said, I told you somebody was going to get hurt today. I just didn't know it was me. He goes, oh my God, you're right. You did say that. And to this day, I can't explain that, you know, but we get these premonitions. You can't stop them. You just see them coming, you know?
Yeah, and I know how that feels because I've done that when I was, there was like a rave thing in England called Gatecrasher. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, I hurdled a gate. And as I hurdled the gate to get into the nightclub early before anybody else, because there was a big queue, I did the same. And my shoulder was down here with stretched skin.
Oh my God, dude.
So I went to the bouncer because I wanted to get in. I said, can you put this back in place?
Oh, shit, yeah.
I think it's to the hospital. And so I went to the hospital and I ended up having laughing gas. So that made the hospital experience a little bit better.
You were lucky.
Yeah. And I ended up turning up at the nightclub when it was closing. So I was pretty pissed off about that. But yeah, I know
you made it back.
But that's a mad story.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hear people talk about this kind of thing all the time, and it comes from people who aren't spiritual individuals. They're like, well, I can see something that's coming. I can see it. I can say something, but it will never stop what's coming. Or I don't know what it is. I feel something's coming, and that's what happens. I know we've gotten a little bit off topic here, but this is awesome. I love talking about this stuff too. You know, I remember I got into a car accident when I was in college, and it was not my fault. This guy rear-ended me again up in New Hampshire, oddly enough, hit me, just completely crushed the back of the car. I hit two cars in front of me as a result of the force. And just before he hit the car, I was driving. I remember hearing the screeching of the tires that he threw on the pavement. And as I looked up into the rearview mirror, I still had no idea what was happening. I heard in my head something along, he either said, get ready or are you ready? And before I had a moment to process it, boom, that was it. My whole seat went back, broke all the windows, smashed out the back. But I realized after that, because that was actually something that was told to me what might happen in a reading. They didn't say it was a car accident. They saw me surrounded by police officers in the near future. And I was like, oh, fuck. Well, I mean, I haven't done anything illegal. I don't know what the hell that could be. And it kind of made me think, but you know, you let it go, especially when it comes in a reading. And sure enough, as soon as I looked up, are you ready? Boom. That was what it was. But there's this internal voice that I don't know whether it's an internal dialogue or if it's actually your guides or your angels or some sort of higher energy of your higher self coming through, guiding you, you know, through this experience, you know.
Yeah,
very, very curious.
Like I say, if you'd have said this stuff to me a couple of years ago, I'd have thought I was speaking to a madman. Like, who is this guy that looks like Jesus? That is kind of like a trendy Jesus,
lives in a hippie room, you know.
What is he talking about? But now, you know, I'm kind of. I can't explain it. It's like something. I think it started with the 33 and other stuff that's happened a lot. There's so many times in my life that I've been like coincidence, and now it's like that thing from. Have you seen the Joker?
The new one? No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I heard it's great. I just haven't chance.
Well, he says that he thought his whole life was a drama, but he realized it's not. It's an actual comedy. I kind of feel like that recently. I'm like, I'll see the number 33 and it'll be on something straight in front of me like that can. And it's just like, oh, you got to be fuck off. You know, enough's enough. What the hell do you want? What do you actually want me to do? Because... And it sounds crazy, and I know it does. And I know if there's any of my subscribers now watching this, they'll probably think, "Oh, I expected better of Alien Addict." You know, he's into numerology. He's a fucking madman. But until it happens to you and it's constant, and it just won't fucking go away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this shit. I don't know what it wants. Well, I say it's a fucking number.
But you want to know what it is. I mean, you want whatever the hell's happening there. What's the catalyst?
To the point where I sound like a freaking madman to my own mum and dad. You know, I'm telling my friends, my friends are not into this subject at all. They're not into ufology. They have been out with me when I've interviewed somebody in a nightclub. I've said, oh, I've got to get this guy on camera and talk about aliens. And like, no, please don't do it. Don't do it. Do it. I said, no, it's happening. There is actual videos of me drunk interviewing people in Benidorm as well.
Oh my God.
But
how funny.
Yeah, it's like this coincidence is and the risk. I can't explain it because it's happening to me, not anybody else watching this or yourself. You know, it's my experience. You'll have your own, you've got your own experiences. I've got mine, and I've just come to the conclusion that it's no longer a coincidence. You know, I'm either going fucking bonkers, or there is definitely something to do with that number.
Well, I mean, in this field, you really can't look at anybody and say, you know, you're fucking crazy, because everything we're researching is so intangible in certain respects. But then there's the experiential side that really gets lost amongst, you know, this hard search for evidence that people want. They want that thing they can hold in their hand. This is the only thing that's fucking real. But yet, you know, I might have had a dream that affects me my entire fucking life. It changes the way that I live my life. Or I have an experience like John had, where I'm making enormous life decisions based on what I'm going through that I don't understand to the fullest. And, you know, I've talked to many people. I meet folks, of course, as, you know, everybody does, you know, oh, so what do you do? I do this, that, yeah, paranormal radio. And say, oh, you do? Huh? You believe in ghosts? Yep. Oh, aliens? Yeah. Okay, all right, let me try this one. Bigfoot. Yep. Okay, fuck this guy. I'm out of here. You know, I mean, I get used to that sort of closed-mindedness, but then there's others who will be intrigued and they want to talk, and they haven't had the chance to watch anything other than, you know, Unsolved Mysteries, Ancient Aliens, something on TV. They haven't got a chance to talk to somebody who's in the field, who works with this, who talks to people who do it. So it's really cool, man. It's really cool.
One of my because obviously I am a UFO alien channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dabbling into the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the fit?
The fit, oh God, I think that's something that we're all sort of still trying to figure out, but we see the consistencies, the interdimensional aspect of aliens, cryptids, and so forth, meshing together with perhaps spirits that are in certain vibrational tones that are able to be more tactile with this world than perhaps others, or, you know, something along those lines. And yet, you know, maybe there's a band of frequency that the extraterrestrials are using to kind of traverse through this world without being detected. Maybe it's a natural causeway or avenue that we're just not totally familiar with. Maybe, you know, people who used to work with the Merkaba, which is the sacred geometry in our field that would spin. And basically this is supposed to be something that you can travel interdimensionally within the overtones of the third dimension, not necessarily going to the fourth, fifth, and so forth, but within that paradigm, you can travel, you know, and appear in one place and, you know, reappear somewhere else like this. It's ancient knowledge that, you know, I know that human beings have used and have forgotten for many years, but maybe if these are the real physics of the universe, the energy, the sacred geometry, and so forth, you know, if that's the makeup and the composition of this universe, then any other species that's out there are following similar laws. They just might be doing it a different way. You know what I mean? So I feel like that plays a big part in our understanding of the esoteric world beyond our physical reality, which encompasses the extraterrestrials, the ghosts, the demons, and anything, you know, that you're not able to touch in that way or perceive with your natural senses, which sometimes it crosses over and you're able to do that too.
Yeah, so that's a fucking damn good way of putting it, mate.
That's my thought.
No, I just constantly scratch my head with it, though, and I'm sure a lot of people do. If you believe in the two, you feel like you should only believe in one, and that's either you go down the spiritual route or you go down the science route. And if you're with the spiritual route, then the paranormal is welcome there any day. But if you're down the science route, how are they getting here? What technology are they using? This, that, and the other. We kind of, and I think that's probably the missing link to people who are properly researching this subject. They need to bring that part into it. They need to bring the paranormal, spiritual bit into this subject.
I've always thought that they would merge eventually. They've kind of flirted with each other along the way, but
conclusion completely.
It's a natural course, right? It has to be. Technology merges with psyche. It merges with us in emotional ways. We're engaged in the media that we're working with. I mean, we have some sort of energetic connection between our technology that we've created, obviously for us, but it's, still be synergistic for us to use. There has to be some sort of continuity. And I really think that there is something there. And eventually we're going to see the merging of science and spirituality, but I don't know what that's going to look like.
At the same time, what is spirituality? What is it?
My definition would be something more simple than I think most. Sorry,
I've got my own. You've got your own. Everybody's got their own version of it. Even though there is somebody that go, oh, well, I'm Catholic, or I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, that's the only three. It's like the only three religions I can think of right now.
Flying spaghetti monster. Come on, man. You don't believe?
No, there is so many different religions out there, but say, so I think I'm Catholic, I think I was christened, so I'm supposed to be
Same
Catholic. Here. Yeah. Okay. So my perception of God to another Catholic is very different. But even two Catholics that both go to church, they're probably quite hardcore Catholics, yeah, they probably still have a different perception of God to each other.
100%.
That's quite similar in the UFO game, with
Yes.
the science part, because you've got all different people thinking different things. You've got the Greers of this world. You've got To the Stars Academy. You've got people that are just starting out that are trying to build their companies up. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Alien Scientist. He's an interesting chap, and he's now got a lab and trying to build himself up into, how does anti-gravity work? So you've got all these big players that all have different opinions. And it's the same thing with religion. You've got all these big players in religion that all have different. I think everybody's fucking wrong. But I think if we all just came together as one, we share best practice, we might fucking stand a chance to figuring this shit out.
That would be the quintessential circumstance that we could actually come together. Because again, if the idea is that we're all one and that we always have been, and we're sort of returning to that knowledge, then we're more powerful together than we are individually, which is something that we could see even in our everyday sports or, other arenas like competitive arenas. That's fascinating. And there was something else I wanted to. Oh, it's a really poignant parallel that you point out there. Really poignant parallel that you point out there. Okay, that was really well said, and not something that I thought about in respect, but I think you're 100% right.
Thank you. I'm an extremely intellectual guy. I know all about religions and science and all that bollocks. I know about it all.
Bollocks. I love the British slang, man. I love it.
Listen, I'm not calling science and religion bollocks. It's no. To me, I'm neither. I'm neither a scientist or a religion. I'm just me. I'm just searching for an answer. And I've gone to church many a times. And I've looked up at the cross. I've looked at the stained glass windows. Mm-hmm. I've listened to the guy speak out nice words, tell great
Waited
stories.
For the donuts at the end of the service.
There's never any donuts.
Oh, there was no donuts for you?
No, there's wine.
Oh, okay. Well, wine's good too.
That's why I go. But no, I definitely think there is something in it. in all of it. And I think every religion is touching on truth. Just like I think every bit of science is there is truth to it. But I think there definitely needs to be that kind of, at some point, somebody needs to go, well, hang about. We need to listen to these guys. And the scientists need to go, well, hang about. We need to listen to these guys as well. Because ancient texts and stuff that's so old outdates science. You know, it's only recently that we've started to kind of understand the nature of how things work. But people have been looking at the stars for years and thinking, what's up there? There's gods up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Aborigines come to mind first and foremost. Oldest cultures on this planet have those stories that say, hey, our gods came from the sky. They came down, they gave us information, and they went back, or they revisit us in a different point. You know, it's really interesting to see that the oldest civilizations talk about this. So that leads me to my question is, how the fuck did we get where we are today in terms of not knowing a damn thing, and yet we're existing along Aboriginal tribes that still retain, after thousands and thousands and thousands of years, their history and their culture, and we're just so lost and we're so removed from everything. It's just I wonder why that is, or how that came to be. You know,
respect. Because I mean, if you look at some of the tribes that haven't embraced technology, haven't embraced all this social media bullshit that we do.
Yep.
I'm going to say for a living then, but for a hobby. You know, their history is passed on. Just like, you know, we might pass on fucking Peppa Pig to us kids, or, you know, or watch this film.
Yeah.
But they talk about what happened years and years ago. It's in our society, and, you know, in modern society, in what's the words I'm looking for? The way things are now between a modern man, let's just say, or I don't want to be sexist. I've already done that tonight. It's disappearing. History is disappearing. I mean, even with all the horribleness that's gone on in the world, which I don't agree with, you know, but destroying a statue, it's not going to change what happened in the past.
Not at all. Not at all.
So do I agree with the things that statue may have done in his past? No, I don't. I think it was disgusting. But should you have destroyed history of the planet? Because if we don't remember what we did wrong, how are we going to improve? You know?
Absolutely.
If we don't look at our mistakes, so for example, if you take away, say that they just decided, now listen, we're going to destroy every single book that speaks about the Nazis and what they did. We're going to get rid of it. Let's get rid of it all, because it's caused a lot of shit in every culture. Okay, let's get rid of it all. That history's gone. How do we know not to do that bullshit again? You know.
And guaranteed that when you try to erase that history to the best of your ability, there will always be a kernel somewhere in somebody's mind that remembers that or follows that ideology and will eventually resurrect it if you try to suppress it. It could be anything. It could be a religion. It could be Nazism. It could be anything. And if you try to suppress it, eventually, you know, that thing's going to bubble back up to the surface. And it's not going to be, in most cases, as pretty as it was the first time around.
That'd be worse.
It might very well be worse, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to talk about stuff like that because, you know, YouTube doesn't like it, but...
Yeah, it's unfortunate for YouTube because I happen to love history, so, you know, I don't know what else to say.
We all know the technology that the military has now. If the shit hits the fan with another country. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're very far ahead, and it's a lot of the countries are very far ahead with their technology, and it's all been weaponized. That being said, as we're running a little close on time, I want to ask you one more question here. In your opinion, how much of what we're seeing in the skies is military activity? And of course, you're over on another part of the globe, which is a very interesting perspective. Excuse me. Because we have the same sort of phenomenon here, obviously. What percentage of the activity seen in the skies is attributed to the military and God, I'm butchering this one. Versus ET or ETs or other UFOs, in that respect.
I definitely think that we've probably back engineered whatever it is. Whether it's ET or not, I don't know. What if it came from here in the first place? What if it's a lost technology?
Right.
There's pyramids that are all over the world. Okay, they've found pyramids everywhere now. What if these people that was making the pyramids were not actually alien? They were from here, and it was a civilization that was just so advanced, way ahead of the time, and they've just fucked off. They've thought, you know what? They're all wankers on Earth. Let's for a bit. Let's go to a different solar system. Let's make something here. And what if this was the start of it? We always look and say, oh, who was our creators? You've seen the film Prometheus, where they looked up to the stars at the creators. What if we actually were the creators?
I like that.
What if there was a species that got so advanced on this planet, and they built these pyramids they had all over the world, and then all of a sudden something happened, or they decided, you know what, we've done our job here. Now let's go venture out and we'll leave. But something then happened here, whether it be a war or something like that, and there's been a lost technology that's gone. So it may be that it's not actually alien. Maybe we're the aliens that are already out in the stars. You hear all about this secret space program, and I've always thought, what a load of shit to that. But now,
doing it.
I'm kind of like, maybe there has been a secret space program that's been going on for a long, long time, but it's our secret space program. Maybe it's there. Maybe maybe NASA knows. You see these Buzz Aldrin's. He spoke about the monolith on Phobos. He actually said that, and he said, "Who put that there? Maybe God did. Maybe we're the gods."
I love that idea, man. That's really cool. I really like that.
Isn't it? It's a bit boring. You want the aliens,
That's not to say that aliens aren't out there. We're not interacting with them, because if that's the case, there's a good chance that we have at some point control on time and space, respectively. Think about this. I mean, Elon Musk sends everybody out to Mars. We colonize that planet. It becomes something that we're back and forth, and eventually, we fuck up something even worse than we're doing right now on the planet Earth, and that's it. We all move to Mars and we start living there for hundreds of thousands of years. And one day somebody is born on Mars and says, I wonder what's on that's Earth, right? You guys used to call that Earth. Can we go check that out? Was anybody there? Wow, we don't remember. Maybe, I don't know. It could be a similar situation. Hey, that's awesome.
I definitely think there is something in this. It's vodka, which surprisingly I've not drunk yet, which I should have. But I definitely think there's something within this design, this alien grey, because it crops up everywhere. All over the world, it's been reported everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And I think there was who's the guy, the weirdo? Maybe that might be a bit harsh, but he was a strange guy. He drew one. It's about 100 years ago now. Okay. He wasn't a very nice chap. I forgot his name. He's actually in. I think he's in my latest edit that I did, where I interviewed a games developer that's making a game called The Dark Side.
Recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I saw some of that.
And he asked me about where the origin of the grey came from. So I was researching it, and oh God, what the hell's his fucking name? I Forgotten his name. Anyway, there was a guy that was into cult. He was into cults a lot, and he drew something that looks exactly like an alien grey. And this is like 100 years ago.
Shit, dude.
So, and he was a like massively cultist type thing. You know, he was
when you go back into history and you look into different cultures and you see these same things that we're discussing now, and perhaps these cultures had more clarity than we did, but regardless, they painted the same shit on the walls, or, you know, there's a hieroglyph that looks just like what we've been talking about, where we think it's something more modern, such as the, exploration for extraterrestrial life and so forth. A lot of people will tell you that that's more of a modern thing. It's not, as you and I both know well, but looking back into those indigenous cultures of the land and what their stories are much more powerful to me. I've said this before, but they're much more powerful to me than, you know, somebody who's just done some research. I mean, these are stories and legends and perhaps happenings that are ingrained in the culture of these people, and they have no fucking reason to lie. They have nothing to gain. In fact, they probably don't even want to tell you about it in the first place as an outsider, you know. So those kind of stories hold a lot of weight in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you imagine that. Well, I think there's video evidence of us visiting a culture of people, a tribe that they've never seen a white guy for a start, you know, and they've never seen technology or anything like that, and that would be the same to them as being visited by, you know, an extraterrestrial grey. You know, we pull up on a big swanky ship, you know, huge big sailing boat that they've never seen because they're using, you know, little canoes and stuff like that.
Right.
And they'll be like, "What the fuck is that?" And you know, and yeah, rightly so. They get the spear and they're like, "You dare come on my island and you're getting a bit of this," you know, because they would shit themselves. That would be the same. If you imagine them seeing an alien,
mm-hmm.
They might just report that as like, they would report that as like on a stone plate, draw it as God coming down from the sky, you know, that looked a bit strange. You know, what did he want? Oh, well, he came down and he probed somebody with this thing, you know.
But they're recording it.
Yeah, but recording it on a bit of stone, but that story would get filtered and filtered and filtered and filtered and filtered and filtered and filtered. The original story might be like if they told the original story and you heard it, you'd be like, well, that was a spaceship that you saw. If we heard it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak,
right?
But because it's something that may have happened many, many, many years ago. It's just you just get tidbits of it, and it's depicted as God. Does that mean to say I don't believe in God? No, it doesn't. You know, maybe it is God. Who am I to say it's not? Just because I've got an alien channel doesn't mean to say I'm not intrigued about life after death or what any of this is about. And anybody that starts typing and saying, "Oh, it's you know, it's all science, this, that, and the other." How do you know? How do you know? Just because science tells you this. And I used to be all about, it's definitely the science, all about the science. I ask myself every day now, you know, what is this that I'm doing? Why am I making these videos? Why do I still have a channel called Alien Addict when I don't even know but then I say, well, alien's something different, and it's not necessarily ET related, but do you know what I mean? It's, to me now, the subject it's more interesting than ever to me because I don't know what path I'll take. So it's my even though it's my channel, and I should treat it like a business because it's growing and growing and growing. It's doing quite well now compared to how it started out. I don't know where it's going to go, but it's going to be the people that will make that channel.
Yes,
it will be the people I interview that will make my mind up at some point.
And enjoy the ride while you're going for it, because that's exactly what it is. This is just a huge ride that we've all jumped on, you know, those who are doing this. And it's, again, really cool to talk to somebody like you who basically does the same thing that I do. I mean, we interview people. Our shows are interview shows. I think we come from the same place in a lot of ways, maybe from different angles, because that's the symmetry of it all, right? That's the symmetry of it. But it's really cool to talk to you about this. And I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to wrap up here, if you don't mind. But before we do, is there anything you want to share with us before we go? And how can people find you? Because we've got your Alien Addict channel in the description. You guys can go there, like and subscribe, check out the awesome videos. But otherwise, is there any other way that people can find you?
Well, I'm on Twitter. I don't do much on it. Apparently, I'm on Facebook as well. I don't do much on there. If people go, I messaged you on Facebook. I'm like, did you? Oh, yeah, I need to check. But yeah, it's mainly YouTube at the moment. I do have an email, alienaddict.uk@gmail.com. That email is what generally, if you have a story that you want to get out, send me an email. I'll check your story over. If it's good, we'll get you on. Just don't tell me you've seen a UFO for 5 seconds outside the window, because I can't really do much with that. I was like, okay, anything else? Well, I had roast beef for dinner as well, but you know, I do get that. I do get, yeah, I saw a UFO the other day. Can I come on the show? Is anything else that used to happen in your life? Nope. No, I saw a UFO for a couple of minutes and it went.
Let's make a half hour out of it, or shall we?
Send me
stretch it. Just ask me a lot of questions,
Got a video of the UFO footage, then by all means send me it in. But no, you can find me on YouTube, Alien Addict. It's exactly the same as it's written here. And you'll be on next.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, man. I really had a great time doing an interview with you. I'm glad that you had a good time today. This is good.
Yes, very much.
Fantastic, man. I know that you don't interview much, and you even mentioned that a little bit throughout this experience, but you did fantastic, bro.
It's like I want to go on. I keep saying to Rich, because I'm supposed to go on Goof on Radio. He's been on my channel, but the times are so different. So I'd need to go on at like 3 a.m.
Yes. Well, that's why I'm doing it now. I mean, just it makes more sense. Oh, my pleasure, dude. My pleasure.
But I appreciate it.
No, but listen, you're a father as I am. And, listen, we can't stay up that late, especially with the younger kids. But I mean, I really believe in what you do. I think you do a fantastic job of what you do. And I am excited to see what you come up with next, after my interview with you, what you do forward after that. I think you're doing a fantastic job, dude. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show with us this afternoon, tonight, wherever you are in the world. But thank you. Thank you. Excellent. So what I'll do is I'll close out the show now. I'm going to throw you backstage. If you want to stick around, I can say my proper goodbyes off camera. If you've got to go, that's fine. But hang tight if you like. Cool. All right. Thanks again, Oli. I appreciate you guys. Again, check down in the description. I have Oli's channel, Alien Addict. Please like and subscribe once again to everything that he's done, because it's worth it. It's fucking worth it. I hope you guys had a great time this afternoon. Thank you very much. Everybody that's in the chat, I've been kind of watching as I go along, but I can't do too much because I need to be listening to the guest and be able to respond accordingly, and my thought process is going as well. So I do my best to pop in, say hello, and thank you guys for showing up and joining. And I see a lot of great faces here. I see some new faces here, and I hope you guys had a great time. Tomorrow night we'll be back with Nicole Sakich. Yes, Sakich. I got it right the second time. Nicole Sakich will be joining me tomorrow night, and we'll be talking again on UFOs, extra terrestrials, esoterics, the paranormal, and her research that she's been doing with some really, really cool guys. So please tune in for that. That'll be at the regular time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific. And I hope to see you then, guys. Until then, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your night. Thanks for joining. And thanks for all your support, by the way. Moderators. Moderator. Big Cat. Thanks for coming, pal. I really appreciate you, dude. I really do. And everybody else who came today. Thank you. Grimwitch, I see you in there. I won't have to do this for very much longer, will I? Thanks, guys. See you tonight. Everybody go and check out Richie G at Goofon on YouTube. 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific. Richie G, Goofon. Fantastic dude, fantastic show. Fucking love the guy. Check him out, support him. Get him up to 3,000K. Good night, guys.